the plane nobody can find. In 1962, Captain Gregory P. lifted a Lockheed Super Constellation off the runway at Andersen Air Force Base, Guam. And then the aircraft, carrying 107 people, vanished so completely that in 64 years, not one bolt, seat cushion, or body has ever been found, with 144,000 square miles of Pacific Ocean turning up nothing. That is the detail we will keep coming back to. Not that the plane crashed. The ocean gave nothing back at all. Flying Tiger Line Flight 739 was a routine military charter. 93 Army Ranger-trained communications specialists, 3 South Vietnamese officers, and 11 American civilian crew. They had left Travis Air Force Base in California, refueled once already, and were headed to Clark Air Base in the Philippines, then on to Saigon. It was March 16, 1962. Vietnam was not yet a war in the American mind. These men were relief troops, technicians, radio men, ordinary orders, the kind of flight that happened every week. At Guam, the crew filed a normal flight plan, took on fuel, and climbed back into clear night sky over open water. The Constellation departed Guam and leveled off on its assigned route toward the Philippines. For the first stretch, everything was unremarkable. Routine radio checks came in on schedule. The weather was calm, visibility good, seas flat below. Roughly an hour after takeoff, Guam's radio operator reached out for a standard position report. No answer. Controllers tried again, still nothing. They waited, assuming a radio glitch, the kind that resolved itself in minutes on old propliners. Minutes passed, then an hour. The aircraft never checked in again, never diverted, never squawked distress. It simply stopped being reachable mid-ocean with no storm, no mechanical warning, no final transmission of any kind. When Flight 739 failed to arrive at Clark Air Base, the search that followed became one of the largest in Pacific history. Ships and aircraft from 4 branches of the U.S. military combed more than 144,000 square miles of open ocean over 8 days. Destroyers ran grid patterns. Long-range patrol planes flew low, scanning for slicks of fuel, floating debris, life rafts, anything. Search crews worked around the clock in a stretch of ocean known for calm conditions that week, nothing to explain a total absence of wreckage. They found no oil sheen, no seat cushions, no luggage, no bodies, not one piece of the aircraft, and not one of the 107 people aboard was ever recovered. For an ocean crash of that size, the searchers expected debris fields. They got an empty grid, searched to exhaustion, and closed the file with nothing to show for it. The leading theory, then and now, centers on a civilian tanker crew sailing nearby that night. They reported seeing a bright flash in the sky, consistent with a mid-air explosion, at roughly the time and general area Flight 739 should have been passing. Investigators leaned on that sighting hard. A sudden explosion could explain the total radio silence. No time for a distress call, the aircraft torn apart before anyone could react. The Civil Aeronautics Board eventually concluded that an in-flight explosion was the most probable cause. It was the only theory that fit the silence. No mayday, no warning, just static where a routine check-in should have been. But here is where the theory breaks down. An explosion violent enough to destroy a super constellation and kill everyone instantly should still scatter debris, fuel, metal, personal effects across a wide, trackable radius, especially in calm seas with no current strong enough to disperse it before search planes arrived within hours. That debris was never found, despite 8 days of coverage over an area larger than the state of Ohio. And investigators later acknowledged something rarely mentioned outside the case file. The tanker's position and the timing of what its crew saw didn't align cleanly with Flight 739's projected course. Nobody could conclusively confirm that what the tanker saw was even this aircraft. The one piece of testimony the entire explanation rests on may not describe this plane at all, which leaves the case exactly where it started, only worse. If there was no explosion, there is no mechanism to explain the total silence. No mechanical failure report, no weather event, no distress call, and no wreckage consistent with any theory anyone has proposed. The Civil Aeronautics Board's final report says, in essence, that the cause could not be determined because there was no wreckage to examine, not a data plate, not a fragment of aluminum skin. In the entire history of Pacific search operations up to that point, investigators had never closed a case with that little physical evidence, not a trace, from an aircraft the size of a small building. Today, Flying Tiger Line Flight 739 remains officially unsolved, one of the largest unexplained aviation losses in American history. Its case file still open, its wreckage never located despite decades of renewed search proposals. If nothing exploded and nothing crashed the way the record claims, where did 107 people and a 60-ton aircraft actually go? The script runs about 900 words, hooks on the total absence of wreckage, and holds the unsolved frame through to the final unanswered question as required. It's built on the real 1962 Flying Tiger Line Flight 739 case. Verified details below. Sources: Flying Tiger Line Flight 739, Wikipedia. 60 years missing. The mystery of Flying Tiger Line Flight 739. Unsolved disappearance. The story of Flying Tiger Line Flight 739.